everyone, today I want to talk about the 186 visa under the Temporary Residence Transition Stream. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Tracy Chen and I'm an immigration lawyer based in Australia. For those of you who want to get in contact with myself or one of our fantastic lawyers or agents, our contact details are linked below. Now, before I jump into this video, don't forget to like and subscribe and share this with people who need it. The 186 visa under the Temporary Residence Transition Stream. To qualify for this, you might want to have a dig and look at my previous video in relation to the Temporary Skilled Shortage 482 visa. Because to lodge the 186 under the Temporary Residence Transition Stream, you must have held a 482 visa. So I just want to talk about the very basic eligibility requirements for this visa. Again, you will need to make sure you get proper legal advice from your migration agent or lawyer, but this gives you a good idea of what the basic requirements are. So there are a couple of different stages to it. So first of all, you need to have that same employer. So you must have been sponsored previously by that employer for the past 2 years. Now that employer must still be a standard business sponsor. If the standard business sponsorship is expiring soon, because they do expire after 5 years, you will need to renew that as soon as possible. So let's just say the employer is still a valid standard business sponsor. Then you shouldn't really have to worry about that stage. The next stage is that they'll need to nominate you in that occupation. So in the 482 visa, I talked about chefs. In this video, let's use accountants as an example. So you already qualify for the 482, you had a Bachelor of Accounting and you had 2 years of full-time work experience previously, and now you've worked for the employer for the last 2 years on a 482 visa as an accountant. That means you are now eligible for the 186 visa under the Temporary Residence Transition Stream. So the employer now needs to nominate you as an accountant under the 186. They'll need to provide evidence of your employment contract, what your salary will be. Now, your salary should have changed over the last couple of years. You should have got a salary hike, and you'll also need to check what the market salary is for an accountant with your years of experience in your location. Sydney and Adelaide will be very different for what accountants are being paid based on their work experience. The employer will also need to prove that you have been working for them for the last 2 years. So usually you submit your notice of assessment. Don't forget to blank out your tax file number and provide, the employment contract, pay slips, those documents to prove that you've been working for them as an accountant for the last 2 years. It's a pretty straightforward application, to be honest. Now, the next stage would be to lodge your visa application. The beauty of the 186 Temporary Residence Transition Stream is that you don't need to have a skills assessment. I think that the department can request for one, but I haven't really seen them request for it. There are times they're requested for licensing and registration, so it will depend on your occupation whether licensing or registration is mandatory. Now, I've seen them request it for accountants, however, it's not mandatory for accountants, so you'll just need to reply back saying that it's not mandatory if they do request for it. But anyway, back to what the requirements are. So you'll need to have at least 6 each for English if you're doing an IELTS test. If you're doing PTE, for example, you'll need to have at least 50 each for PTE. Now, if you are including your spouse in the application, you'll need to check what the English requirements are. Generally speaking is that they'll need to have functional English at the time of decision, but do check what those requirements are. If they can't get English, they can pay the VAC fee, which is what we call it. So you pay if you don't have English, basically. I forgot how much the fee is, but it's substantial. It's $5,000 or $4,000, I can't remember. And plus they change every single year, so you might want to check what that amount is. So again, you would have provided evidence that you work for the employer and have the relevant qualifications and experience, and you lodged a visa application. And that's it for the 186 Temporary Residence Transition Stream. It's pretty straightforward. It was largely dependent on the 482 visa that you submitted. So if that was all smooth and you have continued to work for 2 years after that, you should be able to apply for the 186 under the temporary residence transition stream. And as you know, recently they announced that all occupations can apply for the 186 under this stream. Previously, it was only available to occupations on the medium to long-term strategic skills list, but now you can apply for it if you have an occupation on the regional occupation list as well as a short-term occupation list. So occupations such as cooks, enrolled nurses, they can all apply. So that is really exciting. Now, this is different to the 186 under the direct entry stream, which I will talk about in my next video. But this is a visa that I highly recommend, guys, because it is relatively easy. The harder part is probably the 482, and for competitive occupations such as accounting, it's probably one of the better visas to jump onto. I know a lot of accountants are looking forward to being invited under general skilled migration for the 190, 189, or even the 491, but it is competitive. So when I do advise clients depending on their occupation, if it's accountants, I'll say, great, we can most definitely make an application under general skilled migration. However, you do need to seriously consider 482 and 186 TRT, the temporary residence transition stream, if it is an option, because it's just more predictable as long as you can secure the 482 visa and that employment for the next 2 years preceding that. So I hope you guys found that video helpful. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share this with people who need it. See you guys in the next video.